But anyway, Lily Bogan had 19 points and 14 rebounds. Tarnisha McMeans and Naisha Thomas added 10 points each, and we'll play red level. Let's see, we'll play red level. All right. And I think that might be the night. Okay. All right. The Greenville Lady Tigers defeated Charles Henderson 39-36. Shania Edwards had 14 points. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. We're here. Anyway, where are we? Okay. Kara Burnett added 8 points. They play Carroll of Ozark. They'll go to the playoffs. Hey, Lewis Wood, how you doing, big man? Thank you for watching. All right, in the final poll in the Alabama Sports Writers Association Class 1A, Georgiana boys ended up number 2 in the poll, and they are not behind Covenant Christian. Hey, Greg, how you doing? Thank you for watching. But Covenant Christian is number 1, and I don't know where they're located. I'm going to have to find out where they are. But they're 19-8. The girls' AISA poll, final poll, Glenwood, which is their last year in AISA, is 23-5 at number 1, and Fort Dale finished at 12-2, and they were 13-9 overall. And with that loss last night, they ended up ended up 13-9 on the season. So let's see what time it is. Anyway, yeah, in a few minutes we'll be calling up Greg Draveny. I like that. But anyway, I remember when I was in school over at Fort Dale, they started the girls' basketball program when I was in the 9th grade. When I was in the 11th grade, they really had a good team. My senior year, they were really good. You had Lynn Dunklin starting off at point guard. You had Kim Cross was more of the shooting guard. She was really good. Lynn Dunklin was sort of like a JoJo White in what she could steal the ball and bring the ball up court. And she scored her points on steals, but, I mean, golly, she could steal that ball. Then you had Rebecca Tabor and Lisa Murrah at the forward positions. And then I can't remember, I don't know if they had a center or not now. Lisa Wetstein started too. I'm trying to think who else might have could have started. Now, I know Jessica Bryan played a lot if she didn't start that year. That might be who that was. I'm not sure how they might have had a 3-guard offense. I'm not positive. I know that Jessica Bryan could shoot the ball pretty good. Kim could do it pretty good. Now, Lisa and Rebecca were more the rebounding type. And I remember they played somebody out of Mobile over at Morgan Academy in the playoffs and got beat. I do remember that. Let's see, where's Greg there? We're going to call him up right now.
Big C.
Greg, how are you this morning, big man?
Pretty good, Big C. How you doing?
Good. Are you heading down towards Selma right now?
Yes, sir. Getting ready to roll through Brent and Centerville.
Oh, so you're over there right now. How long does it take you from, well, that's only about a 40-minute ride, isn't it, from Centerville to Selma, isn't it? I mean, it's not that there's only about a 40-mile difference.
Yep.
So it ain't that bad. Now, which way are you going down, 82 or 22, or how you going down that way?
Yeah, I'm coming down 5 now, just going under 82, and then I'll turn left and jump on 82 and go that way.
I got you. That's good. That's good. Be careful, big man. Y'all played Auburn this past weekend. I read up a little on, you were talking, it was pretty good how you wrote up about the, how college hockey is now sort of this, you're promoting it to be since football season's over with. And, Lewis Wood said, "Good morning, Coach D." I like that. But anyway, where I'm going to this. How did y'all do against Auburn over in Columbus this past weekend?
Well, same old, same old. Had some key guys out with bugs, and the boys battled hard, but Auburn beat us. They beat us twice this weekend.
Uh-oh.
And, yeah, it was there were close games, and the guys, I was pretty happy with how they played, but it's like that thing where, your goalie's like your quarterback, and he's got to be on the money. And the last two big series, I mean, Ole Miss, they were everybody played extremely well against them, but South Carolina and Auburn, at the end of the day, their goalies made a difference, and ours was okay. And that's 2 goals difference every game, Big C.
Oh my! Well, did is it Hargett or Haggett? Did he get to play, or was he under the weather?
Yeah, no, he played, but he just didn't play like he did the first half of the year, and it happens.
All right. Do you feel like he's under the weather, or do you think maybe he's tired, or what? What do you think the deal is? You said he's not playing as well as he did earlier in the year.
Well, I think part of it, Big C, is that he trains all summer long, and skates at really high levels, and he teaches goalie schools across North America. So he's on the ice pretty much all summer.
Oh wow!
And so when he comes in August and September, I mean he's primed, ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's no rink on campus. We practice once a week, and you don't maintain that high level of conditioning, I guess. I guess that's the best way to put it,
Mm-hmm. Well, now you said something like bugs. Some of the players, have they been under the weather? And like one year, I remember the girls' basketball team at my whole high school, it was a year after I graduated, started off real good, and then there was like a flu bug that was going around all over the place, and they won. They sort of had to push themselves, and they finally pulled it off. But finally, at the end, at the last of the season, it finally caught up with them. You don't think y'all having that kind of problem, do you?
Well, no, I don't think so. Not to that degree, but the 3. Dirks was out, one of my top D men, and Dylan and Forrester were out, and they're 2 big, big energy guys on forward that they find the net. And, Green is out with a torn MCL or something like that. He's out for the year. Oldham's got mono.
Oh, God.
And, the good news is, Big C, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. That kind of wrapped up the regular season. And through our body of work from the whole season, we made it to the top 4 to go into playoffs this weekend. So
good. That's great. Who do y'all?
That's what matters.
Now, who do y'all match up against this weekend?
So this weekend, our first game of playoffs, we'll be playing number 1 in the nation, Tampa.
Oh, gosh.
So, yep.
Get
ready.
Get ready.
It'll be
Go ahead.
Clarksville, Tennessee.
Oh, wow, on the other side, almost into Kentucky. Got to go on the other side of Nashville.
Yep.
When is y'all's first game?
Friday at 3:00.
All right, then. All right, after that game, what happens then? Do y'all
Well,
play?
if you win, we'll play the winner of Georgia and South Carolina.
Yeah. All right, so that's what's going to have to happen. Now, is this a single elimination thing or a double elimination deal?
Yeah, it's there's 4 teams. Each team plays the 2 winning teams play for number 1, and the 2 teams that lose they play for third.
All right,
and
then the team that ends up fourth, they're out, but the third team still has life. Is that correct?
Yeah, but they just leave it at that as 1, 2, 3 because it's just the playoffs, and then after that we've got nationals too in Philly.
Now, do you qualify for that, or do you got to win?
Yeah.
So you will. Now, basically, what this is more for seeding more than anything else. Is what it sounds like to me. Is that correct?
Well, right. Like this would be the equivalent of kind of the SEC championship in football.
Okay.
But like this is our division, College Hockey South.
Yeah. Okay. Oh,
so
okay. I see.
Because College Hockey South is broken into Division 1 and Division 2 teams, and we're in the top division. So 4 teams out of our division made playoffs this year.
That's good. That's not bad. Now, how many points do y'all have total right now? Because I always like this point system thing you got.
So we've got 20, 24, 26. One of those 2.
Okay. So y'all got a pretty good amount of points, it sounds like to me. Well, that's good. Well, and then now, what is y'all's itinerary like for Clarksville?
Well, we'll get up and leave early Friday morning, and we'll have a bus. We'll stop for something to eat along the way, and then go in, play Tampa, and whip up on them some, and then hang around, watch the next game. They'll probably go to the hotel after that and get ready for Saturday.
And so y'all play the winner of the Georgia South Carolina game.
That's right.
And then go from there. And then when is Nationals going to be?
Nationals is March 4th through 10th.
Oh, wow.
In Philly.
So you'll be riding in the big bus all the way up there, and y'all be sleeping on the way up there, too, and all that stuff.
That's right. Driving through the night.
Wow. And now, all right, okay, let me ask you this question. How long does it take y'all to get up to Philly from down here when y'all go nonstop?
It probably takes about 14 hours.
Wow. And y'all got several drivers on the swapping out on the way up there, I guess, right?
Right. Yep.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. And then after the Nationals is over, then you put the hockey sticks and the puck up and everything else. Is that right? After that?
Well, after Nationals, then we will have this is the first year for the special SEC championship that has all 8 SEC teams battling for the SEC Cup.
Oh, that's pretty cool. We've got a little more to talk about on that. We'll definitely be talking about that and try to keep up with you even in the off season. We'll do that. But right now we're up against the break, and I want to thank you for being on here, and we appreciate you having on here. It's always fun having you on here. It's never a dull moment with you on the show. You still there, Greg?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, hey, thank you, big man, and roll tide, baby.
Thanks, Big C. Roll tide, baby. See you later.
See you later, big man. Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, that was Greg Dreveny, the hockey coach at Alabama. He's always fun to have on here. I'm sorry they lost to Auburn, but they do. qualify for the and then they're going to have a SEC Cup after the season, which I think is pretty cool too. But what we're going to do now, yesterday we talked about the SEC men's standings. Now we're going to do the women's standings, and South Carolina still number one, top top place at 9-0 and 21-0, and their home record at Columbia is 10-0. Tennessee is 7-2, 14-7, and 9-2 at home. LSU is 6-3, 19-4, and 13-1 at home, and they lost to South Carolina on that. Mississippi State 6-3, and they beat LSU, and that was one of the losses that LSU had. And they're 19-5 and 9-3. All right. Alabama and Arkansas are tied at 5-4, and I should have had this. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that, Lewis. But anyway, Alabama's 5-4, 18-6 overall, and 11-3. And Christy Curry, the Alabama coach, won her 500th win the other night against was it Vanderbilt? Yeah. But anyway, Arkansas is 5-4, 17-7, and 9-4 at home. Thank you, Lewis. I appreciate that. Vanderbilt is 4-5, 17-6, and 11-3. Both Alabama and Vanderbilt were 4-4 entering the game the other night, and then Alabama is 5-4, and they're 4-5. All right, Texas A&M is 3-5, 15-6, and 11-2 at home. Auburn is 3-6 and 14-8 and 11-3, but two of their wins were over Alabama and LSU at Auburn. I bet when they play down there at LSU, it ain't gonna be fun. But anyway, Florida is 2-6, 11-9, and 6-3. Missouri is 2-7, 11-11, and 8-4. Georgia is 2-7, 11-11, 7-5, and Kentucky is I didn't write down their home record. So what we'll do is we'll just tell you their SEC record and their overall record. They're 2-7 and 9-14. You got 12 teams in the conference. It's got an overall winning record on their overall record. And then you got two teams that, that's 11 teams, excuse me. Yeah. Thank you, big man. Yeah, I don't know where those two guys are. That's, I wonder where they are today. I know John's at the lake. Now, BLT, there's no telling what he's up to. But you got, conference-wise, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams with winning records, and you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with losing records. That's conference records, that is. But anyway, all right, we're going to do is we're going to talk about who the coaches are like we did with the men yesterday, and we got plenty of time to do that. For South Carolina's Dawn Staley, who was born on May the 4th, 1970. University of Virginia, 1992 is her year. Kelly Harper was born May the 3rd, 1977. Tennessee's her alma mater. Kim Mulkey was born on May the 17th, 1962. Louisiana Tech, 1984. Let's see who else we got here. Sam Purcell, he was an assistant at Auburn, student assistant at Auburn, 2003. I didn't get his birthday, but anyway, He's probably born in 81. All right. Ole Miss, Yolet, McGowan played at Rhode Island 2004, and she was born in the Bahamas. Yep, he's tied up with her, big man. All right. Christy Curry is the head coach at Alabama. She was born in October the 29th, 1966. Northeast Louisiana, 1988 was her year she graduated from there, or finished her eligibility. Let's put it that way. Arkansas, Mike Neighbors, March the 29th, 1969. Graduated from Arkansas in 93. Shay Ralph at Vanderbilt, March the 12th, 1979. UConn, 2001. She's from, where's she from? North Carolina. Had a great record in high school. Now, here's a young lady that was a graduate, and we got a connection with her. Texas A&M, Joni Crenshaw, March the 7th, 1979. Alabama, 2002. Her nephew, James, was a part of this program at one time. Auburn, Johnny Harris, November the 8th, 1966. Arkansas Baptist in 1986, or 87 or 88, somewhere around in there. Florida, Kelly Ray Finley, April the 27th, 1985. Colorado State, 2008. She played somewhere else and then transferred to Colorado State. Missouri, Robin Pington, July the 9th, 1968. From St. Ambrose. That's a Catholic school in Iowa. Georgia, Katie Aberson Henderson, December 23rd, 1986. Iowa. She went to Georgia originally and then went back. She was from Iowa, so she went back home there. And then Kentucky, Kyra Elay, August 17th, 1978. And she played at Tennessee under the legendary Pat Summitt. And what we'll be doing in about a minute or two, we're going to call up Bobby McKinney, who played at Alabama in 1970 to 71. We're going to talk about his days from the time he started at Davidson High School. Where are we going with this? Uh-oh. No, that ain't what we need. Okay, phone. There we go. And he called earlier. All right. There we go. We're going to give him a holler right now.
Hello, this is Bobby.
Hey, Bobby, this is Big C up in Greenville on the Talking Sports Big C. Thank you for being on the show this morning, and good morning to you.
Good morning to you too, Colin, and very grateful to be able to talk to you. I got to pay you a compliment to start off with. I have never met anybody in my life that knows more about Alabama football statistics and the little things than you do.
Oh, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. We keep
and that's
up.
The truth.
We keep up. Now, Bobby, who we got here on the show, is from Mobile, Alabama. He played at Davidson High School. And then he played at Alabama from 1970 to 72. And when you were in high school, your first year coach was a fellow that's from Greenville, Alabama, and I hope some people from Greenville are listening in on us, named Larry Newton was your coach. And then who was the coach after him? Ames? I remember his first.
Well, it was Ames, A-M-E-S. Ames Kitchens was my coach my junior and senior year, but my sophomore year was Larry Newton. And Larry J. Newton was a real friend of my family, my parents. They would go out to eat every week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were pretty tight. But Larry Newton is one of the most respected people in Baldwin County that's ever been because of what all he did with the school administration in Baldwin County.
So was he like the superintendent, or did he end up being the schooling?
He was the school and superintendent in charge of building all these new high schools and junior high schools in Baldwin County. So,
Well, they got a
in
lot of.
fact,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
they also have a school named after him, Larry J. Newton Elementary School. That's not too far from my house here.
Now, where did you? All right, if you don't mind me asking you, where? I know you're from Mobile originally, but where do you live now?
Well, I live in Fairhope on Lawrence Road in Fairhope, Alabama.
Fairhope is a very nice town, and it looks like to
We
me,
love it.
and it's growing and growing. And I like the downtown area there. With all those shops and everything, it's pretty. Looks like it's a fancy place there, but it's very nice.
Yeah, it's very spectacular as far as being quaint.
Oh yes, yeah, you're right, and then you're right there on Mobile Bay. I mean, right on the water. And I've heard people that grow up. Well, you lived on the other side of the bay when you were growing up. When they live down that way, they don't want to move away from anywhere. They want to be back by the water. And a
Yeah.
friend of mine, what Lewis Wood said, "Welcome to the show, big man." All right, your junior year, your sophomore year, y'all went 4-5-1, 6-3-1, and then your senior year, you went 8-1-1 at Davidson. All right, I want to ask you a quick question about Davidson. Yeah, said the address is Pleasant Valley Road. Is that where y'all were located when you were in school there, or do they got a new location since you've been there?
Well, it's Davidson High School, and then right across the street next to it was Azalea Road Junior High School, is where I went. But you're correct. It's right on Pleasant Valley Road in West Mobile.
Okay, West. Okay, so I know about Spring Hill. I know those roads out there. Where would y'all be close to, or what would be another place that? How far are you from South Alabama? Are y'all nearby yet?
We're pretty close, probably 2 miles from South Alabama, probably pretty close to Airport Boulevard, which is
yeah,
one of the main roads there in Mobile.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with Airport Boulevard in a
But
lot of ways.
Davidson is a fairly new school. There was a fellow by the name of Bill Cherry that went to Alabama and played at Alabama that was before me at Davidson. And then 4 years after me was Richard Todd.
Oh, yeah.
At one time, I was Richard Todd's hero. And then 4 years later, it flipped, and he was my hero.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, he was a great football player, and he was pretty fast. I don't think he was as fast as you, but
he wasn't as fast as me. But let me just tell you what, he was a tremendous football player and quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we know that. I mean, everybody knows that.
Oh, yeah, he ended up – anybody that plays for the New York Jets and starts off for them, especially after following Joe Namath, and he did real well up there at New York. Now, I know he's back – I think he lives in Florence now. But
we would work out at Eddie Negus's house in Mobile in Skyland Park in West Mobile. And this was like 4 years before I started playing football. But Richard Todd would come around. He'd be about in the 7th and 6th grade, and he'd be pumping those weights then. He was wanting to be a football player. So the Neguses who build boats here in Mobile, that's where we worked out.
I be, and and you can tell when he got older that the working out on the weights paid off in a lot of ways.
Yeah, he was strong. He was a load to bring down.
Oh yeah, since you bring that up, I remember in 1974 Alabama played Auburn on national television, and one time he ran the ball, and they had to whistle him down. There were about 6 or 7 Auburn guys tried to bring him down, and he just stayed. They stopped his motion is what they did, but I mean it was amazing. that he was that strong. But
I can remember him having, that was when they allowed the tearaway jerseys.
oh yeah,
They had to change his jersey about every series.
oh yeah, that's right. Now they were wearing. Now you were playing with a fellow that had a lot of tearaway jerseys being replaced was Johnny Musso. All right, I want to ask you this question because I've asked it several other folks this.
Okay.
How was it like? I know in a scrimmage you had to go up against him in preseason and stuff. How was it like trying to tackle him? Because he was a pretty hard runner, and he determined runner.
Here I was at 175 pounds at corner. So at practice, Coach Bryant would put the first team against the first team offense, first team defense against first team offense. Every now and then he would do that because there was so much pride on both units that they'd kill each other. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I remember one particular place, the track went around the football practice field.
I remember that.
They had the different lanes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anyway, I came up at left corner. And Joe LeBou was blocking for Johnny Musso, who was running the ball, but who was pulling out? John Hanna was pulling out, lead blocking for Johnny Musso, running the ball with Joe LeBou in front of him, blocking. So what I did, I found myself in the 6th lane of the track. That's where John Hanna knocked me in the air. I mean, I went airborne, and I'll never, ever forget that hit. And I've asked John about that. He goes, John pretty much said, well, I've done that to several people.
So yeah, the memory of that sort of faded away, but golly.
But Johnny was the best bruising, low to the ground running back, the best I have ever seen. And that's including pro. I mean, this guy he just kept those legs churning. He was low to the ground, almost impossible to tackle one-on-one. In fact, I'd say he was impossible to tackle one-on-one because you'd have to get a couple of people on him to get him.
Wow. Well, he was great.
But Johnny Musso was the real deal.
Oh, he was. There's no question about that. But, all right, you played quarterback in high school. And your senior
year, I didn't play quarterback. I played running back.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I was a tailback in high school.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you who I'm going to blame that on. There's a thing called AHSFHS.org, and I looked up your senior year, and one paper said you were a back, and the other said you were a quarterback. But now we know for sure you was a running back.
Yeah.
Now, when you were being recruited, who else other than Alabama was wanting your services?
Well, the Auburn was pressing pretty hard, and the truth of the matter is, Claude Sy was one of their recruiters, and they'd take me out to eat and wine and dine me. Auburn would, and when I did commit to Alabama, Auburn all of a sudden came up and said, well, he's too small to play college football. So when I committed to Alabama, they changed their tune.
Oh,
but they pressed pretty hard. But Florida State was the one that really, really wanted Steve Wade and myself. Steve and I would go down to trips to Florida State. And they were pressing pretty hard. But deep down in our hearts, of course, Steve's older brother, Tommy, was at Alabama, and we knew for sure where he was going to go. But Steve liked Florida State also, and I did too. But deep in our hearts, when you get around those coaches and when they take you and they pull you in front of Coach Bryant, and when they ask you, now tell him where you want to go to school, where you really want to go to school. And there's no way you would say, I'm thinking about Florida State. No, you wouldn't say that. You say, Coach Brian, I want to play for you.
Oh yeah, that would that would be hard to say no to. It was, I don't know if hardly anybody. Well, I'm very sure some people did say no to him, but it was pretty hard to do, and you weren't under any pressure. Now your freshman year, you didn't play on the varsity, but
right.
Now
I
you're.
broke my leg in the high school all-star game.
Oh
When
wow.
we went up there and broke my leg as a freshman. So freshmen couldn't play varsity anyway. So I had a year to heal, and I did heal, and I was able to start at left cornerback as a sophomore at Alabama. And at the time, that was very difficult to do, to break into the lineup as a sophomore. Coach Bryant just believed in playing his seniors and his juniors and his people who have all the experience.
Oh yeah.
But I was able to break in there, and I remember against playing Vanderbilt, I was covering this tight end named, his last name was Spears.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, I was able to pick off the ball, had a good game, everything was going great, and about the fourth quarter, I ripped my hamstring.
Ooh.
So I was out for 5 or 6 games at that point. But I was able to start, and I mean, I'm proud of that. I'm sure nobody remembers me starting at Alabama as a sophomore, but I remember it.
Wow, that was a pretty good deal to do that. All right, there's a guy, a friend of mine from Dothan, and you know I know you're aware of what happened to Steve. He passed away last Thursday. I want to ask Greg, do you know what was wrong? What happened to him? If you can tell us, Bobby does know that he did pass away, but we're just curious of what was wrong with him at the end there.
Yeah, I would love to know what this situation, if it was a heart attack or if it was complications from COVID, or I don't, I'd love to know what it was with Steve. Steve was undoubtedly my best friend when we were playing at school. My junior and senior year, I can put that down, and he was my very best friend.
Did y'all room together at Bryant Hall?
We did 1 year.
What was that, your last year there, or when was that?
That was my junior year. Then it was for a spring, so it wasn't for the entire year, but we did have roommate. We were roommates for just a few months.
I see. Now,
They'd alternate everybody.
Okay, who'd you room with your last year up there?
My last year was with Rod Stakely. He
I
was
remember
a senior.
him.
Yeah, Rod Stakely, just a fine young man. He still is a fine young man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I met him. He's a nice guy. He's a lawyer up in Huntsville, or was.
Yeah, very successful lawyer.
Yeah, he's done real well. All right, you're okay. Let's go to your junior year at Alabama. And what did y'all think when y'all reported to practice and Coach Bryant said, we're going to sink or swim with the wishbone?
Well, the first thing we were all told is to keep it quiet.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, we're going to switch to the wishbone, but we don't want anybody to know about it. I mean, I remember the curtains and all were closed all around the practice facilities, and when it was time to practice and when it was time to let the press in, we would go back to the pro set style offense. And as soon as the press would leave, we'd go practice the wishbone, or the offense would practice the wishbone. So it was kept under wraps pretty well, because I guarantee you, Southern Cal had no idea when we lined up in the wishbone that it was coming. They didn't have a clue, not even a hint.
Right.
And the wishbone will catch you off guard. If you haven't practiced against it, it's very difficult to stop.
Yeah. Well, all right, that game, y'all went out there, y'all lost the year before real bad. That was, by the way, that was my first Alabama game I ever attended, was the one that Sam the Bam made his debut.
Yeah, I was on the field. I was on the field playing in that game.
Now,
sure was as a sophomore.
I
can remember Sam Bam Cunningham running over me, wheeling back around and run over me again.
Oh, my gosh. God, he was needless to say, he had a killer instinct in him. I'll say that much. Gosh, him and Clarence Davis, they just ran like wild men that night.
Yeah, the quarterback, I think, was named Jones. Jimmy Jones.
Yes. That was him. And he was, of all things, he was from Pennsylvania, going all the way to school out there. But I guess they were able to recruit nationwide too. But
That was a 42-21 beatdown.
And it could have been worse if I think if Coach Bryant and John McKay were not good friends, it could have been really bad. It was bad enough as it was.
Well, I think that's one thing that kept Coach Bryant. I mean, he didn't go ballistic in the locker room after the game or at halftime. He just didn't. I think it had something to do with McKay and him being such good friends, and they respected each other so much. But I also think that Coach Bryant wanted to really show us what a kick butt team could be like.
Yeah.
And they were. Those were men at every position.
You know what's weird about that team? They had a lot of talent on there, but they went 6-4-1, and the sophomores that were there 2 years later ended up winning the national championship. But it was sort of strange how, and the year before they were really good. They went like 10-0-1, and ended up like number 3 in the nation. But for some reason, that team, and they tied Nebraska that won the national championship, and they beat Notre Dame that was number 2 that year. But yet, still went 6-4-1. They must have had some problems out there. Something they weren't good.
Had to have had some issues. Whether I'm not sure what it was, but it had to because the talent was there.
Oh yeah, they had the players. There's no question.
And that junior year when we went out to unveil the wishbone, my claim to fame is that I was the first person to touch the football in the wishbone era. So nobody can take that away from me. I was the first one to touch the ball on the kickoff.
On the kick.
Let me tell you what, on that kickoff, I could hardly stand up. I was so nervous.
Oh, wow.
Waiting in the end zone for that kick. But I was able. I mean, I remember one of the guys hitting me, and I bounced off. But I returned the ball back to the 45-yard line, which is a pretty good kickoff.
That's a great kickoff. Alabama was in great field position on that play.
I've often dreamed about if I just could have kept my balance and gone the distance on that play, I would have been in Alabama lore forever.
Oh, you would have been. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, that's true.
But another thing I remember about you, talking about running kicks, you were very good at running back punts. And I remember against Houston that year, playing them in Tuscaloosa, and they had Robert Newhouse. You ran back several punts pretty long ways to set them up. Well, but you told me when we were talking that you had one that thought was a touchdown, but the referee said you stepped out. Tell us, what do you recall on that play?
Well, it was an 88-yard punt return. And I remember Steve Wade lead blocking for me as we were going down the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, if I went out of bounds, it had to have been my little pinky toenail. Because I'm telling you, I don't believe I stepped out of bounds, but they called that whole touchdown, and we were celebrating in the end zone. It was you can imagine, 88 yards, that's a long ways to run.
Yes.
Anyway, it was called back, but I did have a 64-yarder in that game, and then another about a 50-yarder in that game. So I would probably say Houston, my junior year, was the most fortunate I was to be able to return punts. Now, had a good game that game.
All right. Your junior year, along with changing to the wishbone, y'all had a new defensive backfield coach by the name of Bill Oliver. Tell us a little about him. How was it like playing for him?
Well, Coach Oliver came from Auburn, of course. And, he would tell us about Langner and the different players that they'd have over there at Auburn and how he wanted us to get up to their level.
Oh, boy.
And so he knew that would make us, play harder. Anyway, Coach Oliver, Brother Oliver, was a fantastic defensive mind.
Oh,
Well,
yes.
a fantastic coach too.
Yes.
Not only Brother Oliver, but right there next to him was Pat Dye, the linebackers coach.
Wow.
So you had Pat Dye and Brother Oliver, you had Richard Williamson, you had Jimmy Sharp, you had all these. Coach Bryan had the best coaches. I mean, Coach Bryan would stay in his tower and watch practice, but he had his thumb on every one of those coaches.
Oh,
He knew
yeah.
he knew exactly what was going on.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when he did come off that tower, it's like Moses holding the rod up and parting the Red Sea, because everybody would get out of the way because we knew we were going to go to goal line stand scrimmage. And we would stay out there and scrimmage until he said that was enough. And I'm talking about the first team against the first team defense against the first team offense. And that was hard.
Now,
So we didn't want him coming off the tower.
no, you did not want that. And also, y'all had I remember this when I was there, and I know y'all had this when you were there. There'd be a period at the end of the practice called no time, which meant that could have been 5 minutes or it could have been an hour and a half.
You're exactly right, Colin. I mean, it could have been, and it was a couple of times. It was an hour and a half, and I mean, we would get together in the huddle calling our defense, and we'd be going, "This has got to stop any second, any time now. It's got to stop, because we're not gonna. I mean, we're gonna kill ourselves out here." But he wanted. If you even thought about quitting, Coach Bryant, the first thing he'd say is, "If you quit, I didn't need you anyway."
Oh, yeah. And he wanted you to
Yeah,
quit
that
at
was
practice.
one of his things. He's not too big into quitting.
No.
Quitting on the field or quitting in the classroom.
No, No, you had to, he had high standards, to say the least.
Yes, he did. Coach Bryant was the best ever.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to say with Nick Saban.
Well,
but
both
those
of them
two, those two are the best ever.
We were pretty blessed to have both of them. I'll say that much.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes, it
I mean,
is.
17 national championships. Well, we were close to getting another one this year.
Yeah, could have. We had to go into overtime and lost it on the goal line there.
Yeah, I'll never figure that call. I don't understand the call, but neither does anybody else. So.
No, I think what really messed it up was the snap. If that snap, snap had worked right, I think.
I don't understand it. And I know the kid is a great football player, but he had low snaps the entire year.
I'm just wondering if they didn't have anybody else that could do it, because if they did, they would have been replaced on that, or should have been.
Yeah. It really cost us, and nothing against him. It's just it just happened.
Yeah.
But it happened over and over again.
Yeah, that's the thing is, what do they say about insanity when you keep on doing it over and over again? This sort of insane.
And expect different results.
Yeah. All right, I want to ask you another quick game, real quick. Tell us about the Auburn game your junior year when y'all were both undefeated. And that was the first Alabama-Auburn game I ever attended. And, I mean, the stadium was so loud when they introduced the starting lineup for Alabama. When he was Bill Fleming from ABC was doing the Auburn lineup, you couldn't hear him talk after that. Tell us, obviously y'all were jacked up that day.
Yeah, we were jacked. That was a 31-7 beatdown.
Yeah.
And the Heisman Trophy winner, Pat Sullivan, and Terry Beasley, who's just recently passed on, were the stars. They were always the stars. Of course, there were a lot of stars on the Auburn team.
Yeah.
But that particular game, we really wanted it bad. Now, at that time, the starters at corners, from my perspective, was Steve Higginbotham and Steve Williams.
Oh, yeah.
They were the starters, and they did a fantastic job on all their receivers the whole entire game.
Yeah.
Now, I got to play, but what I did is I backed up both of them. When they needed a blow, I would go in and play that particular corner. Mm-hmm. When Steve Williams needed a blow, I would go in and play and get his blood. So I did play, but I was not a starter during that game.
I got you. And then he was pretty fast too. Talking about Steve Williams.
Steve Williams was a blur. He was track team guy.
Yeah.
He could run probably a 9.5, 9.600. So he could pick him up and put him down too. But I'm telling you, Steve and I would say we were neck and neck. We were about the same speed. And that goes for Wayne Wheeler also, who was on the team, who was very fast. Johnny Sharpless was very fast.
Yeah.
We were all about the same speed.
That's unreal. Having that kind of sub 10-second 100-yard dashes. That's pretty good. All right, we want to go up to your senior year, and this is a game I remember for you, and you ought to remember this one. LSU, when both of y'all were undefeated, Burt Jones was the quarterback for them. Y'all ended up winning 35-21, but I remember you made an interception, but also you had a 55-yard punt return that day. Tell us what you recall.
It was not that I remember, Colin, but it was 63 yards.
Oh, was it? Oh, no. I like the way how you said that. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean.
But I do remember that. And Coach Oliver told me that this is what he said after the game. Nobody knows this to me, but what he said to me is, if you'd have just played a couple of more plays that stood out, you would have been the defensive player of the game. And I've always remembered that. I went, dang, what have I got to do?
Yeah.
Because I did have an interception. I did have a long punt return, and I didn't allow any passes completed on my side. So I guess he wanted a couple other things to stick out in order to get that award.
Yeah. Well,
but that was a great game. As far as I was fortunate enough to have a good game, that LSU game, and it was an important game.
Oh, yeah, it was. We won the SEC because of it, and then we won't talk about the Auburn game and the Cotton Bowl, but one
you know what? I'm so glad we're not going to talk about that.
No, we're not.
I remember the Cotton Bowl. Roosevelt Leaks broke my nose when I came up. That was when they taught you to face tackle.
Yeah.
And I came up and busted my nose on when he was running over me. He was like a freight train.
Yeah.
That guy was like Johnny Musso. Anyway, I came out, Coach Goostrey straightened my nose, and Coach Bryant said, get your boo-honey back in the game. So I went back in the game. A few series later, Roosevelt broke my nose again.
Oh,
so
God.
That was 2 broken noses in one game.
Well, now, we want to mention one other thing real quick, and then we're about out of time, but tell us about Chip Chiplich, who unfortunately passed away, but you coached him in high school, and he ended up playing at Alabama also.
Yeah, I was coaching at Independent Methodist School in Mobile. We had about 40, 50 players on the team, but Chip Chiplich just stood out. I had Chip as a 9th grader at another school, Greystone in Mobile. Mm-hmm. And I brought Chip over when I went to IMS. But Chip was about 6'2", 6'3", 210, 215 pounds. And now you think about this little private school, and he was that size. Oh, and he could run. I mean, he ran a 4.6, 4.5 at that size. So he just stood out on the field. He was not only a great football player, but he could do things like baseball, pool. You couldn't find a better pool player than him.
Yeah.
And I was just floored when I found out that I wish I could have talked to him when he did quit, because I know that Coach Bryant tried to get in touch with him to come back. Now Coach Bryant doesn't usually do that at all. To want to. Once somebody leaves or quits, that he would pursue them to come back. But I know for a fact that he did pursue Chip.
Wow. Well, big man, we're right out of time, but I appreciate you being on here, and it's been a lot of fun, and we was able to talk a pretty good while. We'll do this again sometime down the road.
We'll do it, Colin, and I appreciate you, and I thank you.
Thank you, big man, for being on here. Thank you,
Okay.
sir. See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was Bobby McKinney, number 26 from Alabama back in the 70s. Have a good day, Jimmy McCurley. But anyway, we got to go. We'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Bye-bye. Get that out of there.